Yeah, now this is going to be a quick video. If you're on social media right now, then I'm sure you've been seeing the viral story about how Don Lemon was pretty much left speechless by a random British woman who said that the British Empire does not need to pay reparations for slavery. In fact, black people need to go to the African chieftains because they quote unquote sold their own people. Now let me debunk the talking point of Africans selling their own people. Everybody with common sense, including the Europeans, know that these were established nations that were not their own people. They were rival factions that were at war for many years, sometimes over 100 years plus. So they were not their own people that were being sold. They were their enemies that were selling people who usually probably would have sold them also. Second of all, for example, let's take the island of Hispaniola. That's one single landmass, right? Like the African continent is one single landmass, right? But it's two different nations on one single island. There was a period in the 1800s for decades where the Haitian military and the Dominican military were going at it. Now, of course, we know the Dominicans, they were backed by the world powers, the Spanish and the United States, etc., etc. But when speaking of those conflicts, nobody says that the Hispaniolians were shooting their own people. The Hispaniolians were battling their own people. The Hispaniolians were at war with their own people. No, they say the Haitians and the Dominicans were at war, and they give us the respective individuality on the island of Hispaniola. But when it comes to the continent of Africa, they do not get that same respect. They just get called the Africans, similar to if you would call Haitians and Dominicans the Hispaniolians, but nobody calls us that, right? Second of all, the real reason why black people will never get reparations is because what are you going to do to get it? If the Europeans say, no, we're not going to give it to you, what are you going to do to get it? This is how politics works, all right? Now, I'm going to use the Haitian Revolution as I always used. When General Toussaint was in negotiations with the Europeans, what he would do is he would negotiate, and if he did not get what he wanted, he would raise up the entire colony, over 100 plus people, and Europeans would be getting slaughtered. And then after that, the Europeans would come back to the negotiation table and would be like, all right, bro, listen, let's negotiate. Let's come to terms. Let's talk it out. The Europeans would be ready to capitulate after they noticed that the Haitian army went rampaging and massacring French civilians all over the colony. Now, this is how you would get reparations. The reason why you do not get reparations is because you have no military apparatus to enforce your will. Meaning, if the Europeans say, no, we're not going to give you reparations, you have no military apparatus to go up in there and smack nobody up. This is how you get things done in politics. You negotiate, and if you don't get what you want, then you introduce the brute force and the bloodshed. But because you have no mechanism, and by you, I mean us, black people, we have currently no mechanism. Well, we could if we wanted to, but let's be real. In the modern day, none of y'all are really trying to put no hands on nobody. So because we are not willing to take it there, like the Haitian revolutionaries did 200 years ago, you're not going to get one dime of reparations because you're not even willing to smack nobody, let alone take no lives. So listen, the reparations argument, put it to rest, put it to bed. Unless you're ready to, spill some blood, send somebody to heaven and send somebody to hell, nobody's getting reparations. All right, bro, listen, ain't nobody getting reparations. It is what it is. Look at the Europeans. When they don't get what they want, they invading and they pillaging and they spilling blood. All right. So unless you're willing to invade and pillage and spill blood and crack heads and chop off heads and unless you're willing to take it there, the reparations talk is just, for entertainment. And unfortunately, because so many of you, like myself included, we sat in these Western-centered classrooms where we learned about the greatness of Europe and we didn't learn anything about Africa, you guys actually allow Europeans to say that Africans sold their own people. But like the example I gave, nobody says the Hispaniolians went to war with their own people. No, they said the Haitians and the Dominicans were at war. But the Africans do not get that same respect. They don't say the Oyo and the Dahomey were at war for 100 plus years. They just say the Africans sold the Africans. And then black people just sit there looking damn dumb because y'all don't know nothing about nothing. Y'all just let Europeans get away with, we sold ourselves. Oh, the Africans. We sold the Africans. We sold our own people. You know what I'm saying? And everyone just looks at you like an idiot because they know the truth. They know it was nations in Africa. They know it wasn't Africans selling their own people. Who would sell their own civilians? Who would sell their own tax base? That doesn't make any sense. But because you're historically illiterate for the most part, most of you, Europeans know that they can get away with saying to your face that you sold your own people, and you would just sit there looking dumb and not be able to rebut it because you do not have the intelligence and the historical information to provide a response. Just like Don Lemon sat there looking stupid. So it is what it is, man. Until y'all got a mechanism, until y'all find the balls, until we find the balls to, take it all the way there to get what we want, we're never going to get anything we want. Because that's the world we live in. It is what it is. If you want to understand power, you have to understand those who currently hold power. The world powers. How did they achieve their wealth and power? By brute force, bloodshed, theft, and engaging in criminal activity. So for us as black people, in order for us to reach the pinnacle of power and wealth on the world stage, on a geopolitical stage, we have to engage in the same behavior, because morality does not exist. And in fact, the first video on my channel that I uploaded months ago, I think it's titled, Black Men Must Understand That Morality Does Not Exist. And I'm gone. Peace.
Reincarnated, I'm back in original fashion. I left on a horse and came back in the ass, and I left with abundance and came back to famine. We used to be pyramids, now we be rapping. Look how the mighty have fallen. Used to be running, now we be walking. When you be cooning, that's when they applauded. Selling your soul, your sons and your daughter. Gotta come up in this shit, they stuck in the mix. Really, my heart it be breaking. That's why I'm stacking that paper and handle my business. Pass it down in generation. Talking about money and power and building a nation. That's a deadly combination. Never be watching the TV, they pushing agendas, falsifying information. Know they got malice intentions. Step in the room and I'm feeling the tension. Enemy watching, he blocking my vision. Pay for the check cause I need my redemption. Building my kingdom, I need it protected. Ready for war like a young money Congo. Never decided the team is the motto. Up in the crib and I'm whipping up waffles. Up in the crib and I'm smoking gelato. I'm chilling, I'm taking my pain and make it ambition. I'm blessed by the gods, but I ain't religious. I came for the power, they came for the bitch. They making no hourly wage, I got business. This shit is an art and they could never be taught. Selling my soul, I can never be bought. Play with my money, I see you ain't caught. Run to the check and I do it for sport. Babylon falling, I go to the source. Packing my luggage and go overseas. Shorty be with me and she so elite. Shorty be chocolate, I'm calling her Hershey. Secret intelligence probably gon' murk me. Don't fuck with brands cause nigga I'm Haitian. Say the wrong shit and you're smacking their faces.